Most people think of AI as a writing assistant, something you use to tidy up an email or summarize a long report before reading it. But there's the thing, while you've been doing that, the US military has reportedly been using Claude, Anthropic's AI model, to help plan operations that reshaped geopolitics. We're talking about the January 2026 raid that led to the capture of Nicolas Maduro and strikes in February that resulted in the death of Ayatollah Khomeini. So some really big historical events. So whether you think those events are justified or not, that's a separate conversation. The point is this: AI is not just a productivity tool anymore, it never really was. So what most organizations are missing when it comes to the use of AI, to the effective use of AI, is a question. That question is worth sitting with. Now, the question is, what does your organization not know that actually matters? Most companies don't have the data problem. They have a clarity problem. Sales are falling in a specific region and nobody knows why. Customer sentiment shifts and the marketing team is scrambling to catch up. Good employees leave and HR is surprised every time. Now, these aren't mysteries, they are patterns buried in information that nobody has had the time or the tools to properly examine yet. This is where AI earns its keep. So now, not by drafting your weekly update, but by reading thousands of customer complaints, internal reports, operational logs, and by telling you what question nobody has thought to ask yet. That's genuinely useful, and most organizations are nowhere near doing it. So what we need to understand is that the data is there. The problem is integration. Once you know what you are looking for, the next challenge is finding the data that can answer the question. And this is where things get messy. So relevant information is almost never in one piece. It's scattered across your CRM, your customer service platform, your social media mentions, public databases, regulatory filings. The list goes on and on and on. Pulling it all together manually is basically impossible at any meaningful scale. AI tools, particularly semantic search and machine learning pipelines, can bridge those gaps. They connect datasets that were never designed to talk to each other and surface relationships you wouldn't have found otherwise. A marketing team can combine CRM data with real-time sentiment analysis to actually understand how their customers feel, not just what they have clicked on. A bank can detect fraud patterns that rule-based systems miss entirely. The output isn't just more data, it's a more honest picture of what's happening. So how do you pick the right tool for the right question? Once you have the data, the question is how you analyze it. And this matters more than people realize, because different techniques answer different kinds of questions. Topic modeling, useful if you want to understand what themes keep coming up across thousands of documents. How are customers actually talking about your product? What narratives are forming in a political conversation online? When it comes to sentiment analysis, as opposed to topic modeling, sentiment analysis is good for tracking the emotional temperature of a conversation. Is public opinion shifting? Is there reputational risk building somewhere you haven't noticed? After that, you get knowledge graphs. So knowledge graphs are excellent for mapping relationships between entities. For example, suppliers, partners, intermediaries, people of interest. If you want to understand how something is connected, graphs are the right approach. And longitudinal analysis, tracking how all of these patterns change over time, which is how you move from describing what happened to anticipating what comes next. Put these together and you have something that starts to resemble the analytical architectures that intelligence services have used for decades. Except now it's accessible to companies and research institutions. You don't have to be the CIA anymore to have the capacity to gather such information and come up with such illuminating analyses. So, insight is worthless if nobody can use it. Let's say you can actually do the analysis, but how can you use it? So, here is the mistake a lot of organizations make. They invest in the analysis and then produce something nobody reads. A dense 40-page report that lands in an inbox and gets filed under, we'll look at this later. That's what you find. The last step, once you do the analysis, the last step is presentation. Automated reports, live dashboards, visualizations that communicate clearly to people who are not data scientists. Executives need situational awareness in real time, not retrospective summaries. Think about what that means politically. In manufacturing, it could mean flagging equipment likely to fail before it actually does. In logistics, identifying bottlenecks in supply chains before they become crises. In finance, detecting market signals weeks before of the competition. But, and this matters, none of this works if you build it once and walk away. These systems need to be treated as evolving. Predictions need to be compared against real outcomes. Human oversight has to remain in the loop because data carries biases and models can drift. The technology is a partner, not a replacement for judgment. So what's the takeaway? Let's say you are a big business, medium to big business, and you want to use AI for your own risk intelligence, for your own logistics, reputational risk, all that. What's the takeaway? The same principle guiding AI use in military intelligence are relevant to any institution trying to navigate complex information environments, which in 2026 is basically all of them. The organizations that fall behind won't be the ones that lacked data. They'll be the ones who treat AI as a novelty, something to experiment with at the edges rather than integrate into how decisions actually get made. The ones that get ahead will use AI to map the terrain and then use human judgment to decide how to move through it. The combination, machine scale, human insight, is a real capability. And it's becoming the deciding factor in a lot of competitive environments. If you found this useful, subscribe and feel free to share it with someone who still thinks AI is just for writing emails. They need to see this more than you do. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.